Well, hey, David, I got your song loaded up, and this channel is not one of my public channels. I'm going to show you what I did with 15,000 miles. Let me get you up on the screen here. All right, first off, we're going to run it through the analyzer. Now, in the intro, good. Okay, opening drum beat, pretty good. And what I'm watching here is I'm watching this frequency on the EQ right here. When it's the opening of the song, which is fairly quiet, I'm seeing some 50 hertz here from that kick drum. The thing is, when the guitars come in, there's a lot of mids. When the treble comes in, when the vocals come in, there's a lot of treble. And so it looks like we're pretty even across the board until we get up to right where the vocals come in. Then I want to look at this in terms of like, is it kind of overshadowing what we have in the bass here? So let's take a look. There's that 50 hertz. Now I've got some big spikes in the mids here. That's really the guitar melody.
We've been walking side by side for so long.
Okay, the vocals are picking up in this area.
Asked me so many times, honey, can you write me a song?
All right, when you say the letter S, that appears up here.
Many times, but the words just came out wrong. Here's what I can do for you, my dear.
Okay, but what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a lot of spikes that are coming in a lot higher than that 50 hertz. So this is not the tool that I used to fix it, but I know right away if I just take this 50 hertz and knock it up about 66 dB, right away that's going to improve this mix. I could even go hotter.
We've been walking side by side for so long.
Okay, so let me get this flattened back out again. We're going to keep this up to kind of watch what happens as I put these changes in. Okay, the first thing that I did was I brought in Ozone 11 equalizer, and this is the EQ curve that I ended up running for this. And you can see I did this boost here. It looks like a lot, but this is on a scale where 4 dB is this line here. And so if I hit the top of it, you'd be looking about a 6 dB boost. So it's really about a 4 dB boost here at 50 hertz. My second frequency around 200 hertz, and I'm running about 2 dB, kind of a wide curve there. Okay, when you get up about 1.5K, again, this is about a 3 dB cut. And this was the biggest cut that we had. This is almost 6 dB. This is probably 5 dB. And this is coming out right around 4K. And then I'm even pulling some of the treble down. This is up around 8K, about 1 dB. So here's the thing. When I play this, we already heard what 50 hertz is going to do, but let me pull this out while it's active and you'll miss it. Yeah, where's that oomph? Okay. This one's a little bit tougher to hear. This is going to be around 200 hertz, and it's a fairly wide sweep, kind of the low mids. And I'm actually going to jump ahead in the song a little bit. Okay, and this is sort of the warmth, the body. We're not really in the bass frequencies, but it's the warmth of the song. So if I pull this out, you'll miss it. right there.
Wasn't always
You hear that, the chung, chung, chung in the guitars? I'm hearing that right just below 200 hertz.
after so
Too
many
much.
years, babe, we'd survived
Miss it.
the ups and downs of life.
Yeah, right about there. Okay, now this stuff up here, these three, 1.5K, 4K, and 8K, with the most drastic thing happening right here at about 4K. And let me find your spot in the song right here.
Go back in time, 15, love a rocker, 15,000.
Okay, so when we get into the chorus here, your voice has like a harshness to it, a grit, and I totally get down with having the grit in the voice. I'm going to boost this frequency up and let you hear how that comes through in the mix.
Love a rocker, 15,000 miles for you.
And I say that because I know my voice is gritty as well. So I had to really kind of dial that way back. So
Love a rocker, 15,000 miles for you. I walked 15,000 miles for you. I crawled 15,000 miles for you, my dear.
yeah, I can hear right around,
I'd run 15,000 miles.
right where that grit
I
is.
walked 15,000 miles for you.
Okay. This band here is kind of added to that, down about 1.5K. And this is really, I guess, the harshness in the guitar, and somewhat from the vocal, but mainly the harshness in the guitar. And the combined, it's an overdrive guitar, and it's a gritty vocal. There's a lot going on up here.
Love a
Okay, listen to mainly the guitars here.
1,000 miles for you. I walked 15,000 miles for you. I crawled 15,000 miles for you, my dear.
Yeah, so
I'd run 15,000 miles for you. I
Right there.
walked 15,000 miles for you. I crawled 15,000.
okay. And then the high treble. This is just where you're saying the letter S, where you have the cymbals playing and that type of stuff. And so I'm covering that with this band. And I'm not doing much. I'm just pulling down about 1 dB.
Love a rocker.
Cymbals.
15,000 miles for you. I walked 15,000 miles.
And the S's.
I crawled 15,000 miles for you, my dear.
Okay. So at this stage here, this is what I consider a surgical EQ. Let me bypass it and turn it on for you. Here's your original mix.
Love a rocker. 15,000 miles for you.
And EQ.
Love a rocker. 15,000 miles for you.
And off.
Love a rocker. 15,000 miles for you.
And on.
Love a rocker. 15,000.
Okay. Next step. By the way, that EQ is free. That's Isotope Ozone 11 EQ, free plugin. Okay. Next, we brought up another free plugin. This is from Brainworks. This is Masterdesk Classic. And honestly, I did not do too much with it. And it's actually, you won't hear it doing too much, but I use it to kind of set the foundation a little bit differently. You can kind of think of this thing as like a tone knob that runs in reverse, and I'm running it about 1 o'clock. So the more you turn it up, kind of the warmer it gets, and the more you turn it down, the thinner it sounds. So it's not doing much.
Love a rocker.
So let me turn it down.
15,000 miles for you.
No bass.
15,000 miles for you. I crawled
Nice and warm,
15,000 miles
but no clarity.
my dear.
So normal would be about here.
I'd run 15,000
I just wanted to warm it up a little bit.
I walked 15,000 miles for you.
Also the stereo enhanced, which you have a great stereo field.
My dear. 15,000
More mono.
miles.
That's normal.
15,000 miles. 15,000 miles.
and just a little bit wider.
15,000 miles. 15,000 miles.
Okay, it's a soft compression, and you can see on the meter here, it's really not compressing too much.
Love a rocker. 15.
Okay, let me shut this off and turn it back on. So we're still EQ'd by the EQ. This is with this master plug-in off
Love a rocker. 15,000 miles for you.
and on.
Love a rocker. 15,000 miles for you.
It's subtle, but it's just a little bit warmer the way that I'm hearing it. Okay, we're going to leave both of those on. All right, next up, console 1. All right, this is a paid plugin. This is, it's basically an SSL channel strip, and they do have a lot of companies that make something like this. And again, you can see that I've kind of duplicated the EQ that I did in Ozone. I've got the EQ kind of boosted up around 50 hertz. This is more boost. And I'm doing another mid-range cut, this time around 250 hertz. And then I'm doing another mid-range cut, again, up around 4K. But I left the treble alone. We're also running a very mild compressor over here. So now we have 2 stages of compression. The BX mastering desk did a little bit, and this is going to do a little bit more. And we haven't heard this one yet. So here it is off.
Love a rocker. 15,000.
Okay, and here it is on.
Love a rocker. 15,000 miles for you.
Okay, and what we're really watching is the only thing it's really doing is this stuff up, right around 50 hertz and a little bit lower. A little bit of like where the subwoofer lives in this studio. All right, so here it is on.
Love a rocker. 15,000 miles.
A little compression, very little.
15,000 miles for you
All
across.
right, I'm going to shut it off.
15,000 miles
It's off.
for you, my dear.
Where's that?
I'd
Where's that
run
kick?
15,000 miles
There it
for
is.
you. I walk 15,000 miles for you.
Okay, so we're going to leave all 3 of those on for you. All right, next up, one of the final things that I will tend to do with any of these things. This is, again, a free plugin from UA. This is the LA2A compressor, and it's a remake of the famous LA2A leveling amplifier, LA. So by default, this is on compressed, but I do have it set for limit. And I have a little bit of peak reduction going on. So this is like a final limiter, and it's not doing much. You'll see this meter, when the meter kicks down to the left a little bit, that means it's doing something. All right, so it's engaged, but not on. In other words, the plugin's loaded, but it's bypassed.
Love a rocker. 15,000 miles.
I'm going to turn it on.
I walk 15,000 miles for you.
A little bit of movement.
Across 15,000 miles for you, my dear.
And off.
I'd run 15,000 miles for you. I walk 15,000 miles for you.
And all that's really doing is it's taking any like wild peaks in volume that might be like jarring, and it's just kind of taming them, and not much, just a couple dB. And so with that in mind, what we can do is we can watch on the screen here as I engage each of these things. So I'm going to shut everything off. These are all the plugins going bye-bye. All right. And again, we're in the middle of the song. Here's with none of my effects on it.
Love a rocker. 15,000 miles.
And here's with the Ozone. This was the surgical EQ.
Love a rocker.
On.
15,000 miles for
Off.
you. I walk 15,000 miles for you. Across 15,000
Off.
miles for you, my dear.
We're going to leave it on. Okay, here's BX mastering desk. It's off. Again, this is subtle. It's just a little bit of warmth. Here's off
Love a rocker. 15,000.
and on.
Love a rocker. 15,000
Okay, here's the console one. It's off, and this is where the kick is really going to come to life a little bit.
Love a rocker, 15,000.
And on.
Love a rocker, 15,000 miles for you.
Okay, here's the UA limiter, which if I did it right, you shouldn't hear any difference, but it's off.
Love a rocker, 15.
And on.
Love a rocker, 15,000 miles for you. I bought 15,000 miles.
Okay, now just for fun, when we watch this on the screen now, watch what your bass is doing here.
Love a rocker, 15,000 miles for you. I bought
A lot more activity in this area.
miles for you. Across 15,
And nothing in the mids or the treble
my dear.
is winning.
I'd run 15,000.
And just for fun, let me kill everything. And this is the original track.
Love a rocker, 15,000 miles for you. I bought 15,000 miles for you. Across
Okay, here comes Ozone 11, EQ.
for you, my dear.
Brainworks,
I'd run 15,000
Console 1,
miles for you. I bought 15,000
and LA2A.
across 15,000 miles for you, my dear.
So a lot of these are free plugins. The console one is not, but there's some SSL channel strip type plugins which will manage some more EQ. I may have even just run 2 instances of the Ozone 11 EQ because it's a great EQ, but one of them was not really enough to get that bass jumping. And there's a few things that I like about the console one, that it's kind of tied to a compressor. And again, the Brainworks mastering desk, which is a free one, just a little bit of warmth on the foundation knob and a little bit of widening on the stereo field. And then the LA2A from UA, say that 3 times fast, just to kind of make sure nothing really kind of escapes anything. Could I do more to it? Yeah, but I don't want this to really sound like a really super processed recording. I wanted to try to keep it as natural sounding, like the way you intended it. So those are the changes that I would make if I was just applying effects after the mix. But one thing I might consider is I might consider going back and looking at the things that are in the mix, like the drums, to say, am I doing something to those drums? Like, do I have like a high pass filter set at like 80 hertz or something? Because I wouldn't want that. I would want more of that 50 hertz because that's the chest thumping stuff in the song. That's stuff that I had to kind of fight to add back in. And so in this case, I'd probably go back to the mix and say, what can I do with that? But overall, I mean, it's leveled really super well. And I know it looked like big changes on the EQ, but these are very surgical EQs. A lot of those changes were just 2 dB here or 1 dB there, and the only exception was kind of the low bass stuff. All right. Anyway, hope this is helpful for you. All right, man. Take care.